In the dead of night, on a street so quiet you could hear a pin drop, a single act of brutality would shatter the silence and a woman's life forever. This is the chilling story of the decibel defense, where sound itself became a weapon. And justice was found not in a courtroom confession, but hidden within the very frequencies of the air. Meet Naomi Clark, a 55-year-old hospice care worker. Her life was dedicated to providing comfort and peace to others in their final moments. But Naomi lived with a hidden battle, a debilitating condition called chronic auditory sensitivity. For her, loud, sudden noises weren't just an annoyance. They were a trigger for excruciating, incapacitating migraines. One night, around 3 a.m., a brief, loud argument erupted between her neighbors. Being the caring person she was, Naomi stepped onto her front porch to make sure everyone was okay. By the time the flashing lights of a police car painted her house in red and blue, the argument was long over. The street was once again peaceful. Out of the car stepped Officer Ben Morris, known for his aggressive, almost theatrical approach to even minor incidents. He immediately targeted Naomi. "Ma'am, you're the one who called this in. Get down here and identify yourself," he boomed, his voice cutting through the stillness. Naomi, dressed in her nightgown and slippers, calmly held up her phone from the top of her porch stairs. "Officer, I didn't call," she explained gently. "I was just checking on them." "Everything is quiet now, sir." But for Officer Maurice, this calm explanation wasn't it was defiant. Standing on her own property, she was, in his eyes, refusing to submit. "I told you to come down," he barked, his frustration escalating. "You failing to hear me, ma'am." What happened next was not a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate act of violence. Before Naomi could even process his demand, Officer Morris unclipped a large, black device from his belt, a siren, loud hailer, a tool for crowd control. He strode onto her private property, closed the distance until the device was less than a foot from her head, and pressed the emergency siren button. The sound was apocalyptic. An electronic shriek ripped through the air, directly into Naomi's ear. She screamed, a raw, primal sound of pure agony, her hands flying to her head. The sheer volume and high frequency overloaded her sensitive auditory system. Searing pain shot through her skull. Vertigo sent the world spinning, and a catastrophic migraine exploded behind her eyes. She collapsed onto her porch, vomiting and clutching her head in unbearable pain. As Naomi lay incapacitated, Officer Morris showed no remorse. He knelt beside her, roughly yanking her arms behind her back and snapping handcuffs onto her wrists. In his official report, he would later write a complete fiction. He claimed Naomi became violently uncooperative and failed to comply with repeated audio commands, and that he was forced to use a non-lethal acoustic distraction. The charge, resisting arrest. The aftermath was devastating. Doctors diagnosed Naomi with permanent, unilateral sensorineural hearing loss. The delicate hair cells inside her cochlea had been destroyed by the acoustic trauma. The world, for her, would never sound the same. Initially, the case looked bleak. The officer's body camera footage was useless. The audio was so completely blown out by the siren S-blast that it was just a wall of distorted noise. It seemed like Officer Morris's story, his word against a non-compliant citizens, would stand. But Naomi's lawyer, Dr. Alan Peterson, was no ordinary attorney. With a background in digital forensics, he knew that evidence could hide in the most unexpected places. He had a hunch that the key to proving what happened wasn't in what people saw, but in what an electronic ear might have heard. Dr. Peterson subpoenaed the security footage from a neighbor across the street. This wasn't just any camera. It was a high-end system with a sensitive, calibrated microphone. He handed the raw audio file to an acoustic expert. This is where the case turned. The expert didn't just listen to the audio. They analyzed it. They extracted the file's metadata and isolated the exact moment of the assault. The analysis revealed a shocking, undeniable fact. The sound blasts from Officer Morris's device at Naomi's location reached a measured peak of 145 decibels. To put that in perspective, the threshold for immediate, irreversible hearing damage is 140 decibels. A jet engine at 100 feet is about 140 decibels. Officer Maurice had deployed a sound loud enough to permanently damage human hearing. point blank, into a 55-year-old woman's ear. The evidence was now a perfect, damning triangle. An audiologist testified that the specific, localized damage to Naomi's cochlea was a fingerprint injury, the exact kind of wound caused by a close-range, high-decibel, acoustic blast. The medical diagnosis perfectly correlated with the time-stamped 145 decibel spike in the neighbor's audio file. The final nail in the coffin was a simple logbook. Dr. Peterson's team uncovered the maintenance and testing logs for the very loud hailer Officer Morris used. The records showed that just a week before the incident, Maurice himself had conducted a maximum volume check on Tito. He knew exactly how powerful it was. He knew the damage it could inflict. In court, the objective, scientific data was unassailable. The prosecution's entire case was built on the claim that Naomi failed to hear commands. But the acoustic forensics proved that Officer Maurice had intentionally deafened her, creating the very non-compliance he used to justify her arrest. It was a setup, fabricated with a weapon disguised as a communication tool. The charges against Naomi were immediately dismissed. The civil suit that followed resulted in a historic settlement, compensating her for her permanent disability and the profound trauma she endured. Officer Ben Maurice was fired and faced his own charges, including felony battery for using a device as a weapon to inflict grave bodily harm. The case sent shockwaves through the department and beyond. The city was forced to recategorize all sound distraction devices as intermediate force weapons. New policies were written, mandating strict logging of their use, mandatory medical checks for anyone subjected to them, and a strict rule: they could never again be used within a 20-foot radius of a compliant citizen. Naomi Clark's life was altered forever by a sound wave, but her fight for justice created new rules to protect others. Her story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most crucial evidence isn't what we see, but what we hear, and that truth can be found in the data, waiting to be Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into cases where technology and tenacity uncover the truth. Stay safe and stay vigilant.